All right, so here we are in the last couple of sections in 35 verses 5 through 7. It just it has Jesus written all over it. Think of Jesus and his ministry. He opened the eyes of the blind during his time on earth, but still today, each time someone comes to him and sees him, they come to truly see. I always think of the verses in Amazing Grace. We all are blind, but he makes us to see. And as we walk with him over time, he is opening our eyes to behold him more and more. I just think of that. I don't know what it is, but there's a verse where Jesus is talking and he says, let the eyes of your heart be full of light. And I think of this truth, how he's, gradually over time opening our eyes to see him more and more, that our lives could be full more and more of his light. He opened the ears of the deaf. He caused the lame to leap. He caused the mute to sing for joy. And he's still doing that. We each can relate to every aspect of that. We were all deaf. We were all lame from sin. We were all mute in the real truth of where we stood before we knew him. And now that we know him, these promises are ours. And then there is that overwhelming picture again, that water breaks out in the wilderness. There are streams in desert places. It's revisited here that he delights in doing the impossible, and absolutely turning things around, making a way where there is no way. And then that comes to these beautiful things that paint a picture of times to come. So 35, 8 through 10, think of think of heaven, think of times to come. Verse 8 describes this highway, this way of holiness, is described as people stream to God into heaven. It's a picture of the kingdom of God and likely a portrait of this millennial kingdom that's pictured in Revelation and all throughout the Old Testament. There's like a scattering of verses that when you put them all together paint this incredible picture. This is also mentioned in Isaiah 40 verse 3. And if you read the description of John the Baptist's ministry given in Matthew 3:3 with this lens, it's incredible. He was the voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a path, a highway for our God. And I believe Jesus absolutely intended to describe to his people who would have known these verses when he came and declared himself as the way, the truth, and the life in John 14:6, to think of these verses, to think of what he was declaring. And then just there's 3 important characteristics of this way of holiness described here. In 8, it talks about it's a way of holiness. It's reserved for those made righteous by God alone. It's a place of safety. It talks about that with those images in 9 and 10. And it's a place of joy in verse 10. So love you guys. Wish I was there with you. Hope these help. And I'll keep resting. You be well. Merry Christmas. I won't see many of you before I head out. And so I can't wait to see you for the birthday extravaganza on December 30th. More information to come when I'm feeling better. Merry Christmas.